I was gonna wait for the whole countdown, but it's the week of Christmas. I think Christmas is at the end of this week, so it's a holiday season. So let's just jump right into it. So thank you everybody for joining. It's great to see people showing up, um, and it's also always a great thing to be able to come on here, share, and talk about some important topics. And today something that I really want to talk about that is very important to every business owner that I can think of. Is when it comes down to forecasting. And what I wanted to talk about were, four very big reasons of why forecasting is so, I guess you say, phenomenally important when it comes down to running a business, when it comes down to figuring out different things in your business, and when it comes down to just launching a business, running a business, or if you're trying to exit the business. I mean, it is very important for you to really understand a forecast and why that's important because there are a lot of business owners that are entrepreneurs that are trying to launch a business or they're trying to grow a business or maybe they're trying to get funding for their business or they're trying to operate their business and they're struggling at it. And one of the big reasons why I think they're struggling is because there's a huge gap in this area of their business. And earlier this year, a organization reached out to me because they were hosting a lot of pitch competitions where they were giving out thousands and thousands of dollars to different business owners. And one of the challenges and the issues that they were having is they said that, most of the business owners that are pitching their product or they're pitching their business, the area that they seem to be struggling in the most is the financial section. Like they're not able to effectively communicate the financial portion of what's going on in their business. And so that's why I think it is very important for us to have a discussion about the four reasons why forecasts matter. So we're going to dive into that. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Terrell Turner. I am the founder of the TL Turner Group, which is a accounting firm that focuses on bookkeeping and CFO services. So I do not focus on taxes. And I'll be honest with you, I have very, 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 very few, and I emphasize very, very few clients that I do tax work for. And one of the things that I definitely tell my clients is, hey, we are focused on bookkeeping and CFO services because that's what we realize what we do great at. And to be even more clear, we really do great with law firms, marketing agencies, and restaurants. Now, we do have clients in other segments, but I will tell you, those are the areas that we really specialize in. We have a lot of deep knowledge there in working with quite a few businesses in those three segments. Now, we also do a decent amount of work with churches as well, but I will say we've done more with restaurants, marketing agencies, and with law firms. And outside of, leading the TL Turner Group, I also am the co-founder of the Business Talk Library, which creates a ton of free content. When I say a ton, in the last 19 20 months, we have created about over, I think we're getting close to 500 different pieces of content from the podcast shows that we do, between the finance and the accounting show, the Business Talk Library interviews, also with the finance for business owner, like these live sessions that we do. We create a ton of content for a lot of different topics as it relates to helping simplify some complicated topics when it comes down to business. Now, our specialty is finance and accounting. So I do a lot in the area of finance and accounting. But in business and entrepreneurship in general, we have a lot of guests on. Like we've interviewed over 400 entrepreneurs and business owners on the show to talk about, amazing things that they're doing in their business, what that journey was like, what are some of the hurdles, the ups, the downs. We've talked a lot about a lot of those different topics. And then also Our firm's been recognized in the New York Times. I've also am a 40 under 40 Black CPA, which is a national award recognized in 2021. So amazing, great things. Educational background. I went to Lander University, amazing small school in South Carolina. And then I went to University of Notre Dame to get a master's degree in accounting. And that's a little bit about me on the professional side. Now, personally, like I said, one of the joys that I have is, working that my wife and I both have an accounting and finance background. So one of the huge joys that I have is being able to be married to someone who understands what I'm talking about and who understands kind of some of the things that we're doing. I mean, she has a passion for helping business owners as well. She also speaks four languages, so which allows us to be able to help business owners in different languages. Now, I speak English fluently most of the time. When I'm not tired, it usually comes out pretty fluently. I can understand some Portuguese. I lived in Brazil for a period of time, so I have a very, 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 very small understanding of Portuguese and when it is spoken. Now, I may not respond back in Portuguese to you. I may respond in English because my understanding is better than my ability to speak and respond. So that's a little bit about me. Now, back to the topic that I think is very important for, entrepreneurs and for business owners is the topic of forecasting. And what I want to talk through are some very fundamental and I think key things to understand about forecasting, because this is a topic that I do think gets misunderstood a lot. And there are a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs that are struggling because they don't really understand the basis of the forecasting, why it matters, how you do it, even how you go about it. And a lot of people have been asking me those questions. So first I want to start by talking about why it matters. So I think the first thing for people to understand is when it comes down to a forecast, it's not a foreign concept, because I think a lot of times people feel like, forecast building a forecast for my business is pretty scary. It's not something I'm not familiar with it. I have no idea how to do it. And I always tell people, we are really used to forecasts. I mean, the most common forecast that we all see and we probably all pay attention to on a regular basis is the weather forecast. Now, when it comes down to the weather forecast, something that we all have just accepted as part of life. I mean, some of us have apps on our phones. Some of us, we actually turn on the television. Some of us, we look at it online. There's, these little ticker symbols on different accounts that we have across different technology platforms. But the idea that I really want to communicate here is forecasts are something that we are all very familiar with, and it doesn't have to be overly complicated. I mean, we understand forecasts from just, looking at the weather forecast, and we understand how the weather forecast also helps us make decisions about what are we going to wear that day, whether we go out. Like if you have children, you probably really look at it when, let's say, if your children are going to have a birthday party or there's going to be a play date. Like the forecast, it becomes a very active guide that helps you make different decisions in your business. The problem that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business owners is that often when it comes down to a forecast for their business, is they just look at it as, hey, it's something you just did to get your business started, but you don't actually use it in your business. And I always say, I mean, think of your financial forecast similar to the weather forecast. You're not gonna look at it constantly, nonstop, all day, staring to see, okay, what changed. But you are going to use it as kind of a guide to help you navigate the decisions that you need to make throughout the process of running and operating a business. So if you don't have a forecast, then I would probably say, hey, you know what? You're probably missing a very, very helpful tool that's going to guide you. Now, the next thing that I kind of want to look at it from is this is more of the next two are really, these are reasons why an investor or a third party would want you to have a forecast, because that's what I see a lot where entrepreneurs are trying to, whether it's get funding for their product or they're trying to, bring a partner into the business, or they're trying to go get a loan. And these are some of the responses or some of the factors that the investors are considering and looking at when it comes down to your business. I mean, the first one that I think a forecast does for your business is it really answers this question, because from the investor standpoint, and I would say even myself as having invested in some other businesses, one of the things that I realize is that if you do not have a forecast for your business, if you are not able to have some sense of a picture of where you think this business is going to go, one of the questions that I find myself and other investors asking is, are you even serious about this business? Because, see, what the forecast does is the forecast starts to let me know that you are actually thinking about more than just your idea, because a lot of people come up with amazing ideas about a business. But to be completely honest with you, until I see that some type of numbers on a page, or until I see you put forth some energy towards the numbers of your idea, I don't really know if you're really serious about this, because you could just be very excited about the idea. But until I actually see numbers, I really don't know if you're really serious about what you are trying to do and about the business. But what having a forecast does is it starts to allow other people to take you serious. So I'll tell the story. Like, I remember back in, I think it might have been around like 2013 or 2012ish, where a friend of a father, I mean, my friend's father gave me a call, and he was trying to work on this business deal that they were trying to import a product in from another country, and they were working with this entrepreneur that had some success in that other country. They were trying to bring the product to the US. And one of the hurdles they were running into is, as they were going and really trying to present this product and this business opportunity to investors, they were running into hurdles. And so what they asked me is, they said, "Hey, can you help us pull together some financials for this? Because we really need to be able to tell the financial story about this." And so for a couple of days, I worked on it, and really just, based on, he sent me a text message, and we had about a 30-minute conversation based on what he texted me, what he put in that text message. And based on the 30-minute conversation we had, I was able to come up with a full set of financial statements forecasted out for the next 3 years. So P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow statement, out for the next 3 years. Once we put that into the investor deck, within 3 weeks, we got a call from L'Oreal, which is a multi-billion-dollar company in its industry, and asked us to fly up to New York to present the business case, because they got a hold of the pitch deck. And the only thing that changed in our pitch deck was we then added a financial forecast. And that financial forecast is what allowed them to actually take our idea more serious. Because once they saw those numbers and they said, okay, all right, they seem to be serious about this idea. So I always tell business owners, having a financial forecast can be a game changer for you. One of the other things that it definitely does is, no investor wants to put money into a business or to give you money, and then you get into the business and then you start realizing, like, what have I got myself into? Because that is not the place that the business owner or the investor wants to be in. So when you do a forecast, what it does is it allows you to get some sense of an idea of where this business could go. Now, this becomes very important because there are a lot of people who start a business, and as they're operating the business, they get very disappointed very early on in the business, because even though they're working really hard and they're like, man, I'm just not making that much money. And one of the things that when I run the numbers and I look at it, I'm like, okay, if you would have taken the time to build out a forecast, you would have known that businesses in this industry, their profit margins aren't that high. You're actually you're actually doing well for a business in your industry. Now the problem is they didn't take time they didn't understand what the potential of the numbers for a business in their industry could look like. They had this idea that they were going to be making a ton of money, but when we really looked at the numbers, we said, no, here's what the numbers are showing for your business. And when we went through the numbers, it helped them understand that, you know what, wow, this business really isn't designed to be as profitable as I thought it was going to be. And so they really started to, sober up and become more clear minded on, hey, what's going on in this business, what's happening in this business. And we started to see a lot of things change. And like I said, it just gave them a reality check about their business. And I always tell people, it is better to get the reality check on the front end as opposed to starting the business, working really hard, and then finding out on the back end, because you'll probably lose a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, a lot of interest if you're finding out these things on the back end. So the forecast helps you start to put those pieces together before you get too deep into the idea and running the business. The last thing that I wanted to point out was having a forecast can actually serve like a roadmap for your business. See, when you have, I would say, back when I was in, like say, early college, when I started driving, this was before smartphones. So it wasn't like we had the GPS on our phone, like, whether it's what Google Maps or what's the other one? I forget what the other one, Waze. It was before all of that. I mean, this was back when I think like the Nokia phones, where the most sophisticated thing you could do on a Nokia phone is if you understood music, you could actually like program a song in there if you knew how to write music and stuff like that. Was like the most advanced thing you could do on a cell phone when I started driving. And so one of the things we would need to do when I wanted to go somewhere new is we would go online and we would go to MapQuest. I'd put in where my starting point was, I'd put in what my destination was, and it would give me a road map. It would give me a little map at the bottom, and then it would give me written instructions on where I needed to turn. Now, the thing about that is you would print that piece of paper out, and the rest of the trip, you had to hope that you did not make a wrong turn. Because if you made a wrong turn, your instructions on your MapQuest report that you just printed out, they're not as relevant anymore. Well, fast forward several years. Now we have smartphones, we have technology that can update based on the turns that you are making. This is where I think the forecast comes into play. Now, if you're doing an old school forecast, meaning it's a static forecast, you're kind of like, the MapQuest instructions, which isn't a bad thing because it does give you some sense of direction. It's better than nothing. But when you start looking at doing forecasting in a way where your forecast is a little bit more agile, meaning you can plug in different factors, you can update it as you go. What you'll start to see is as your actual results come in, your forecast will automatically change and adjust based on all the prior decisions and the prior achievements that you had. And so when you start to think about your forecast, if you are doing a forecast wisely, your forecast will then help guide you as you make decisions in your business, because there are a lot of business owners that start a business, they're very excited, even some of them that get funding and they start moving along the road and then they just don't know what to do next. And so having a forecast can actually help you navigate those steps. So those are the four things that I really wanted to point out. Is the first thing is, forecasts are not something that we should be scared of. It's something that we're very familiar with. It's very similar to weather forecasts. They help us think through potential decisions before they actually happen. The next thing is a forecast allows you to be taken serious. When you are a business owner and you're trying to attract the attention of investors or other people, a forecast allows you to be taken serious and that you are actually really thinking through this business and you're trying to operate it. It also allows you to get a glimpse of what the business could look like. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to start a business under the false assumption that you're just going to make a ton of money. And then you actually start the business and you realize you really didn't make that much money. And then the last one is a forecast. A financial forecast can help serve as a roadmap to help guide you and navigate those decisions that you have coming down the road. Because as you think about the ton of decisions that you need to make as a business owner, you're going to need some help navigating those things. And a financial forecast can help you. And especially if that financial forecast is dynamic and if it is being updated based on the actual results that you are experiencing. So, those four things are the reasons why I think it is very critical to actually have a financial forecast. Now, several people have been asking me about, hey, I need some help figuring out how to build a forecast. And so one of the things that we have done is we used to offer a lot of courses that you can buy the courses individually. What we are now doing is we're moving to what I call the Netflix or the Amazon Prime model or the Hulu model, to where people can join the all access courses where you can actually join on Patreon, and it's at patreon.com/business talk library, where you can join on Patreon. And by joining the all access member, you get access to the full library of courses. So you no longer have to spend, thousands of dollars trying to buy all the individual courses. Right now, we're doing a we've actually opened up our library and we're actively adding more courses to the library where you can pay for one flat fee every month. You get access to the full library. And one of the things that I'm doing in there is I'm adding a course where I'm going to actually walk through building a forecast, and we're going to do it in Google Sheets, and I'm going to walk through step by step of building a forecast. Not only that, for the members in the group, they're actually going to get access to be able to download the template that we create. So when it comes down to them creating their own forecast, they'll have the video of me walking through filling out and creating a forecast for a business. And they'll also have access to download the template and to be able to build their own forecast for their business. And I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference, because earlier this year, I got contacted by a organization that was doing a pitch competition. They had different entrepreneurs that were pitching their business to to win funding to fund their business. And one of the things that they told me is they said, hey, we have 10 businesses and a lot of them need some help on their finances. Can you help out? So I ended up meeting with, I think it was like five of them. And I ended up meeting with like five out of the 10 business owners. And I will say, two out of the five that I met actually placed in the top three, meaning that two of the people that I helped actually were winners in this pitch competition. And one of the big things that played a role in them winning was by actually helping them build out a forecast and actually working through that with them, they were able to communicate the financial section of their pitch, and that actually was the thing that helped push them over the top. Now, yes, they had a good business idea. They could explain that portion, but one of the feedbacks that a lot of them got was being able to explain the numbers after going through your financial forecast class. Being able to explain those numbers is what really pushed it over to the top is why I was one of the people who won the funding for that competition. So if you really want to check out that course, definitely hop over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/business talk library and join the all access course community. Now, I will say the $40 a month price is, that's I guess you'd say the early bird rate, meaning we just started doing this. So people who sign up now will be able to lock their spot in for $40 a month, because in 2022, that price is going to go up. Because like I said, we're in the process of adding more courses to that catalog. And we have over $3,000 worth of courses that we're adding there. And if you sign up now, you're going to get it for $40 a month, as opposed to just spending $3,000 buying them individually. So definitely head over there. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in.